Three of thousand. I'm now moving on to the third name. Vishvam Vishnur Vashatkaro. So the third name is Vashatkaraya Namaha. Om Vashatkaraya Namaha. This is a simply beautiful story. Not that the other two stories were not beautiful. So this story relates to my master, Krishna, going as Pandava Dutha. He is going to Dhritarashtra's court to beg for land on behalf of the Pandavas. So this story relates to that. Now, prior to the Kauravas here, that beautiful, beautiful pictorial form that Janaki spends time every week with Shantiji to decide what pictures they are and try and put some pictures so that the session becomes more interesting for all of us. So thank you, Janaki, for doing what you do. So she says, but the Kauravas know that Krishna is coming as Pandavaduta, emissary of the Pandavas. Krishna is going to come there. At that point in time, they are thinking, how do we receive Krishna? How do we receive Krishna, he says. How do we receive Krishna? And prior to Krishna's arrival, and now Duryodhana is saying, hey, I will spend money to receive him. I will spend a lot of money, no problem, to receive that Krishna. But to go asking me to get up and go to the gate to receive him, the messenger of the paupers are the Pandavas, the messenger of the pauper is Krishna, is too much. I can't go and receive. Don't ask me to get up, says that. Now Bhishma is there. Bhishma says, he's not a mere messenger. You're also related to him. Your daughter, Lakshana, is married to his son, Samba, right? So he's also your Samdan. Get up and receive him. Duryodhana vehemently argues, saying, I did not sign up to that marriage. Samba stole my girl, Lakshana, and I don't subscribe to that because he's a cowherd. He can't be equal to me. I cannot stand up to receive him. I am an emperor. He is a peon. He's a messenger. How can I stand up to receive him? Says the conversation between Bhishma and Duryodhana at that point in time. The entire court is stunned by this conversation and the amount of hatred and the disrespect that Duryodhana has for Duryodhana has for Krishna. And that he's arguing with Bhishma and Drona and Vidra and the elders, right? He says, do whatever you want, but I am not going to stand up and receive this cowherd, Gwala, as he calls it. Now, Dronacharya is very upset and he says, Duryodhana, please do not insult Krishna. He is the Lord, Narayana's incarnation. Don't insult him. Of course, Duryodhana completely, is on war path. He says, you call this cowherd boy as an incarnation. Yes, he did a little bit of magic in Goa when he was growing up in Mathura and Vrindavan. But you know what? If he was really the Lord, why did he steal butter? Why did he have to steal things? He is a butter thief. And you are calling him as the incarnation of the Lord? Nothing. I don't believe in that. So they're all upset. Who's upset? Bhishma, Drona, and Vidra are upset. Saying, how can he be be insulted in this manner? And it looked like we are going to be party to the insult, right? So that conversation happens. Nobody is able to convince him. Nobody is able to convince Duryodhana that he needs to stand up and receive this great Pandavaduta. At that point in time, Bhishma, Drona, and Vidura are looking at each other, and Bhishma says, don't worry. 3,000. And Duryodhana hears them and he doesn't understand them. And the three of them are talking and he said, why are these three talking? And they're saying 3,000. Let's leave it at that. Okay. And the next day happens, right? They're all waiting. And before the next day comes, Bhishmacharya tells Duryodhana, you are the king, right? If we will follow what you do. If you say you don't get up, we also can't get up to receive Krishna from our seats. But remember that we have to follow what you do. And Duryodhana is now elated. Duryodhana thinks, fantastic. As Krishna comes there, I am going to insult him. I am going to not stand up from my seat. Therefore, the entire courtroom will be seated. Bhishma, Drona, Vidura, King Dhritarashtra, everybody will be seated as Krishna walks in. So he's very happy. He's very happy. And of course, Bhishma, Drona, and Vidura have talked about 3,000. 3,000. So they've done that conversation. Next day happens. They're all waiting in the court room, in the king's hall, big hall. And the Pandavaduta steps in. Pandavaduta, which is Krishna, he walks in with silk like Pitambara. He's adjusting his hair as he entered Duryodhana's darbar. And as my master enters, Duryodhana and Karna are the first people to jump from their seat and with folded arms and chanted, "Welcome our Lord, welcome our Lord." Naturally, when they do that, when Duryodhana does that, everybody, Bhishma, Drona, Ashwatthama, Kripa, everybody is following the king. And after sitting in the court, you know what happens in the court, right? He says, give them five villages. No, five, pin, nothing. He won't give anything. And that evening, they're having a conversation in the Kaurava inner chambers. With Krishna is no longer there. Now Duryodhana is having this conversation in a closed room. He is telling all of his courtiers, including Bhishma, saying, "Why I told you not to stand up when Krishna comes, when the messenger comes. Why did you do it? Why did you all get up?" Bhishma says, "We are not to blame. We assured you that we would follow you like your shadow. We would sit if you sat, we would stand if you stood. We would cross our legs, we would do anything that you do this. But guess what happened? When Krishna walked in, you were the first person who jumped. You are the first person who jumped out of your seat and said, 'Welcome, my master.' When you did that, what choice did we have?" Duryodhana doesn't believe in what Bhishma says. He asks his best friend Karna, saying, "Did I really do that?" And Karna says, "Of course you did that. That's why we all followed you." Right? And Duryodhana is now saying, "I do not know why I got up. I do not know why I got up. Some devil within me has forced me to do that." And he says, Bhishma is now saying, "That's exactly what I was referring to as 3 out of 1,000. So saying, Bhishma exchanged glances with Vidura and Dronacharya. And now they are trying to understand what 3 of 1,000 meant. What does 3 out of 1,000 meant, right? 3 out of 1,000 name stands for Vashatkaraya Namaha. Parasara Bhatta describes Vashatkaraya Namaha as one who directs everybody, one who controls everything, or one who controls and directs, not merely pervading him. And the charm that the Lord has, and the commanding position that the Lord has. When the Lord is commanding you, when He is directing you, what choice do you have? What choice do you have? Thank you for the beautiful Vishwarupa photograph, the Lord raising Himself, and showing that. We'll cover the story of how Dhritarashtra after seeing this, didn't want to see anything else and wanted to continue to be blind. We did that story later. So today we'll continue to focus on Vashatkaraya Namaha. Duryodhana thought he was the director and he shouted at everybody saying, "You can't do it." But Krishna is Vashatkara. Krishna, who resides in Duryodhana too, told him to get up and he could get up. So that's what this name referred. The Lord not only pervades, but He is the controller. He is the director of all of us. Once we understand that, it is easy for us to believe in Nimitta Matam Bhavasavya Saksham. We are but Nimittas in the hands of the great Krishna. And Vashatkaraya Namaha. What is the Falastuti of chanting Vashatkaraya Namaha? The Falastuti of chanting Vashatkaraya Namaha is as follows. If you want to impress somebody, if you want to, win in an interview, if you want to make the right impressions, at that point in time, please chant Vashatkaraya Namaha. Om Vashatkaraya Namaha. So if you chant Vashatkaraya Namaha, then it is much easier for you to impress and win over people. That's what the Falastuti says.